A chaotic scene outside a school. An officer tackled by a student.
Yeah, the teen body slammed and punched the deputy.
The violent exchange was all caught on video. The fight happened today after school at San Jacinto High School, and that's where CBS 2's Nicole Comstock is live. Nicole?
That's right. This was a very intense interaction between that group of students and that campus resource officer right in front of the school today earlier this afternoon. And tonight we spoke with a teacher who rushed into that fight to help that officer out, as well as speaking with the mother of a young man caught on camera struggling with that officer. A driver gets out of his car to record as a student tackles a cop to the ground. San Jacinto High School had just let out Friday when this school resource officer started to break up a fight near campus. He was soon swarmed with students, and it appears some of them tried to wrestle another student away from him.
And that's when I just ran in there and started telling everybody to back off.
Substitute teacher Daniel Leyva, he says he knew he needed to take action when he saw one of those students take the officer's baton.
Yeah, I took it off of his hand because he pulled it off of him and he was trying to hide it. But I saw him, so I went in there and just grabbed it off of him.
And one student is shedding some light on why that officer may have had his baton out in the first place. She says during the original fight between students, she witnessed a boy hitting a girl in the face.
And then the security guy said, "You don't touch a woman, you're gonna be arrested." And then that's when the student was pushing the security guard.
She says the officer then tried to subdue that student.
But he wouldn't go down, so he got his baton and hit his legs.
That was also caught on camera just moments before the tackle.
I think it's a lack of respect for authority.
But this student's mother spoke with us over the phone. She says her son was just trying to break up the original fight when he and others were pepper sprayed without warning. She admits her son did wrestle the baton away from him, but says any young person in that situation might do the same. The school district sent a letter home to parents about the assault, asking them to talk with their kids about complying with orders from police. And the Riverside County Sheriff's Office tells us that that deputy did tell all those students to disperse, but that they did not comply. Reporting live tonight, Nicole Comstock, CBS 2 News.
The woman accusing Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of sexual assault has a little more time now to make a very big decision. Well, tonight, Senate Judiciary Chairman Chuck Grassley tweeted that Ford could have an extra day to make up her mind about testifying sometime next week. Earlier, the committee told her to decide by tonight, or the panel would then move ahead with a confirmation vote Monday. President Trump is now questioning Ford's story, saying if the attack was as bad as she is saying, she should have called the FBI 36 years ago. That didn't go over well with one Republican senator.
I thought that the president's tweet was completely inappropriate and wrong. We know that allegations of sexual assault are one of the most unreported crimes that exist.
Kavanaugh denies the allegation. Republicans want Kavanaugh confirmed in time for the Supreme Court's new term, which begins a week from Monday.
Well, across the nation, reaction is pouring in to the Kavanaugh sexual assault allegations and President Trump's tweet. The hashtag #WhyIDidn'tReport has been trending on Twitter. And CBS 2's Rachel Kim is live in downtown LA to tell us what famous names are sharing their stories. Rachel?
Yeah, Pat, in response to President Trump's tweets today about the sexual abuse allegations, women and men are coming forward to share their stories and the reasons for their silence with the hashtag #WhyIDidn'tReport.
High-powered male politicians aren't the only ones questioning Dr. Christine Blasey Ford's story before she even has a chance to speak, setting off so much anger on Twitter. The hashtag #WhyIDidn'tReport is trending. Actress Polly Perrette joined in and said, "I was 15, raped by a drunk football player at a high school party. I was sure my dad would shoot him if he knew, and then my mom would be alone. I stayed in my room for days and cried to my cat. Didn't tell dad until like 20 years later, after my rapist died." Also coming forward, Patti Davis, an author and daughter of President Ronald and Nancy Reagan. In a Washington Post op-ed, Davis revealed she was raped by a prominent music executive in his office 40 years ago. She said she felt alone, ashamed, and disgusted with herself, and said she never told anyone for decades. That's why Davis said she wasn't surprised Dr. Ford didn't talk about the assault she accuses Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh of committing.
it frustrates me.
Psychologist Danae Jordan treats survivors of sexual assault and says trauma like this has no expiration date.
It doesn't really matter when it happened. Most of them have held on to it since they were children or teenagers or young people. There is a significant fear of coming forward.
The fear of exactly what's happening so publicly to Dr. Ford.
When a sexual abuse survivor is doubted, criticized, made to feel that maybe it's their fault, they're actually re-traumatized, and it makes it worse.
Other celebrities sharing their stories with the hashtag include actresses Daryl Hannah and Ashley Judd. Reporting live tonight in downtown LA, Rachel Kim, CBS2 News.
Hillary Clinton weighing in on the Brett Kavanaugh controversy when she sits down with Stephen Colbert on The Late Show tonight. Clinton wants the FBI involved, as Christine Blasey Ford has already requested.
It would be very easy for the FBI to go back and finish the background investigation, to investigate these charges. And, you know, maybe find out there's nothing to them, maybe find out there is something to them, but at least have that investigation complete.
You can see the entire interview on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert right after this newscast.
Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein is calling an explosive New York Times report inaccurate. The paper reports Rosenstein suggested secretly recording the president last year in the White House to expose chaos in the administration.
It also claimed that he tried to recruit cabinet members to invoke the 25th Amendment to force President Trump out. The report is based on memos written by former acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe.
Murder at the Santa Monica Pier. The family of a fisherman killed in a vicious beating calls for justice. CBS 2's Tom Wade is live in Santa Monica. And Tom, the big question is this the work of a serial killer?
And Pat, that is the big question that police are trying to answer tonight. The latest killing, as you said, at the Santa Monica Pier here. A man was found dead, bludgeoned to death yesterday morning, and this follows other killings, and now the family is demanding justice.
Whoever this person, this coward, whoever it is, you know, people are sleeping and he's hitting them.
The father of Stephen Cruz on the Santa Monica Pier at a vigil for his son, who was bludgeoned to death early yesterday morning, just feet from this spot under the pier. Cruz's family says the 39-year-old father of two was a fisherman and was sleeping on the beach before going to work the next day.
He wasn't homeless. He just slept. He slept over here and go to work from here sometimes. He had a membership for the gym. So you get up in the morning, go take a shower, and then go to work.
We've always fished here, and we've never had issues, you know, and this one night, you know, he said he was going to come fishing and stay and then go to work. He never came back.
While his family says Cruz was not homeless, police say he may have been targeted at the pier for appearing homeless. Two other homeless men were beaten to death downtown last weekend. Police are looking for the man in this security video and say all of the murders could be connected. Cruz's father says his son never thought he was in danger here.
He just loved everybody. He trusted everybody. You know, that was a bad thing.
Police are hoping the video showing this person of interest appearing to walk bow-legged will help bring answers in the killings.
You can knock somebody out and rob them, but you don't have to kill them, you know. I hope they catch him.
And right now, police do believe that it's possible the attacker himself could be homeless. They also say they believe the motive is robbery. Reporting live in Santa Monica, I'm Tom Wade, CBS 2 News.
Thank you, Tom. Well, deputies have arrested a man seen with a machete from a Victorville Food for Less robbery in March. Investigators say Kenneth Bryant slashed a security guard as he and two others were leaving that store with stolen groceries. Investigators are still looking for Bryant's two accomplices, the man and the woman seen in that video.
The list of possible victims of an Orange County surgeon and his girlfriend continues to grow.
That's ahead, plus this.
This is a dream still. I'm pinching myself.
The Dodgers' newest owner knows a thing or two about sports. Jim Hill has more from Billie Jean King.
Plus, we'll check out LA's new outdoor shopping village in the Pacific Palisades.
Also, tomorrow is the start of fall, but will it actually feel like fall? Evelyn Taft has your weekend forecast.
And here's a look at the guests tonight on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert.